Ready. Hang on, I gotta turn you down.
Call the meeting of the Paducah Citizens Advisory Board, February 15th, 2024 meeting to order.
Okay, it's good. I had to confirm it or something. So. I just had to confirm it. It's good now. Okay, bye.
Adrian Paul, Billy Bob Clark, Ben Stiddick,
Raleigh Mendula, Fran Johnson, Vice Chair, Cab.
Don Barker, Chair, Cab.
Dave Brewer, Cab.
Eric Buttermore, Cab.
Buzz Smith, Federal Coordinator, DOE.
April Ladd, Paducah Site Lead.
Eric Roberts, Support Staff.
Amy Wiggins, EHI Support. Mary Evans, Kentucky Department of Environmental Protection.
Doug Ware, EHS. Introduce yourself. Walker.
Yeah. So, online, we have, looks like Julie Galloway. Sonia, would you like to introduce yourself? Ryan? Oh, you're still muted.
I got the camera on, I just forgot to mute the audio on. Yeah, I would like to introduce myself, and I'm going to take more than a couple of seconds. I'm Sonia Smiley. I worked with the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet for a little over 16 years. And before taking this position, I was the supervisor of the gaseous diffusion plant section. I worked for 16 years in air quality. And I don't know, a couple more things is I grew up in rural West Virginia, outside a little town called Hamlin. And a fun fact about Hamlin, West Virginia, is that it is the birthplace of Charles E. Yeager, first man to fly faster than sound. We didn't have a stoplight, but we sure did have pictures of planes everywhere. But I attended Marshall University, and I have my bachelor's in biology with a minor in chemistry. And I currently live in northern Harrison County, and I'm super excited to be part of this project.
Oh, good.
Awesome, thank you, ma'am. So Sonia will be stepping in replacing Brian Begley. All right, so you know Brian's been with at the site forever. He's retired recently and has been a liaison to the board for probably 10 to 15 years. I've been attending CAB meetings since I've been here for 20 years. So Sonia will be stepping in, filling that role. She will become the formal liaison from the state, representing the Waste Management, Kentucky Department of Waste Management on the board. So we're glad to have her and can't wait to see her when she gets down here and we get to meet her in person. All right, we have Victor Weeks. Hey, Victor, how are you, buddy?
Doing fine, thank you.
Thanks. All right, Brian Langhart, also with the Commonwealth. Brian?
Hello.
All right, so it looks like we have Clint Combs. Clint, how you feeling, buddy?
Getting there.
Yeah? Rough week, huh?
Yeah, but feeling a lot better.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. April Webb. April, how are you?
Good. How are you all tonight?
Good. Thanks for being here with us.
Hopefully, when Sonia makes her first trip down, I'll try to come down with her too at that time.
Oh, outstanding. Get a double 2-for-1.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Is there anybody else online that we haven't recognized? Okay. Rodney Hill, how are you, buddy?
Introduce yourself, please. Hey, I'm Rodney Hill.
Thanks for being here. I know you said it was a busy afternoon, so I appreciate you getting over.
Well, you had waiting on them rides, so I make sure everybody got home safe. Thank you for being here. Thank you to every one of you for being here tonight, being online as well. You have in front of you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll follow the agenda as is printed in front of you. DOE comments.
All right, just a few updates. As far as excess facility demolition, we've completed 3 facilities in the last couple weeks. We have demolished the C727 facility. It's one that, in coordination with the regulators, they agreed to allow us to do it under DOE authority. So we were able to get that done, and then we have also completed demolition of C710A and C711. So those were a couple other facilities that during transfer of the site back from USEC to DOE, the facilities all had to be screened with the regulators to determine if it needed to go through CERCLA process or if we could demolish them under the DOE authority. So there was about 30 facilities that screened to where we could do it under our authority, and we started the campaign in 23. We've got about 10 or 11 for 24, and then the balance of those 30 for 25. So we completed those 3. We've exceeded over the 5 million pounds dispositioned on the R114. And I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, but the site has another calendar year goal for 24 to disposition another 1 million pounds of R114 coming down from EM1. So, Buzz, you want to add on to anything else?
Well, I think that's it. I think we're at 600,000 pounds of a 1 million pound goal for this year on the Freedom. So things are going good, staying busy. Continue to talk with the community about potential land transfer. But it's all good. No problem.
Any questions from the cab for you, Buzz or April? Buzz, you said we're at 600,000, just 3/4 of the way into the year. So we're ahead of schedule on that?
Well, yes, we are ahead of schedule. Our year is October 1 through. So.
Gotcha. But you're about 6 months in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So we're ahead.
It's kind of confusing because, like from a performance plan standpoint, it works on the fiscal year, so October 1 of 23 through September 30th of 24. But then the EM mission goals are calendar year, so it'll be the January through the December of your typical year. So we could make it more confusing. So we track 2 numbers. We track a fiscal year disposition, and we track a calendar year disposition. So, yeah, just give a little clarity there to that. Because it sounds like, oh, we're already almost done, but that's the fiscal year quantity. Yeah. So.
Good question. Any other questions for April or Buzz? Any comments from any of our liaisons, whether in the room or online?
None from EPA at this point. Thank you.
Hearing no others. The next item on the agenda, pardon me, I'm gonna skip just a second. I saw somebody in the corner of my eye, gonna sneak in. You need somebody to introduce themselves back here in the back.
Steve Christmas, Four Rivers Nuclear Partnership.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, sir.
Don't leave without me asking you some questions.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I see on our agenda we have administrative issues.
I'm not aware of any unless you're ready.
Oh, we could create some. Moving on down to our presentation then, we have April again presenting for us tonight.
This is the video of the presentation. You do the video stuff? It doesn't matter either way.
You need technical question?
Yeah.
April, while they're working on that, let me ask you a quick and maybe a technology question. When you mentioned 710A, there's probably maybe one, maybe two people in the room who know what 710A
Yeah.
is located.
Perfect.
I just wondered if on the map you could show when you identify non-plant people where those are located.
Here,
I want me to point you.
yeah, it's fine, Buzz, if you want to. Because it's gonna be kind of hard to see. So,
Some of these may be small enough they won't show up
yeah,
as well.
so 710's our lab facility. 710A and 711 are kind of, lab makes like an L, and it's kind of in that square of the L. So there's two in there, and then 727 is north of the 310. So it is right, you can't see it because the big building overshadows it, but it's just north of 310.
Okay, thank you.
But it's like maybe twice the size of this one.
Yeah.
But it's like a very robust garage structure on the birds and.
So most of you have heard us talk about that about a decade ago, one of the big pushes from the national chairs, right, the collective group of all the boards, is that they really wanted to see DOE promoting their successes in a larger scale nationwide, right, to show that we were a program that had workers that did a good job, that showed up every day, that impacted our communities, that we were a program that the Congress should support and invest in and throw additional dollars to. Plus, as is often the case with a lot of things, good news gets or bad news gets reported and good news gets overlooked, right? And so there was one of the big pushes from the chairs was to find ways to share your successes. And so you have a couple things in front of you. You have a scorecard for the last year and a missions and priorities for the upcoming year. These are two of the ways that DOE nationally talks about what their targets and priorities are and what success they've had over the last few years. So the scorecards are very open and transparent. Like, this was our intention. These are the big projects we needed to get done. It is by far not the only thing DOE did, but these are the big ticket items. They involve projects all the way across the sites. And it kind of shows like they accomplished most, but not everything for various reasons. And then it lays out on the priorities list what they're working towards next year. You can see Paducah's listed on a couple of those. So one of the things they do at the end of the year is they've created these success story videos, right? And so there's one that we emailed out to you guys, a link that covers all the DOE complex, all 8 sites, and it's a fairly lengthy video. PPPL built one just for the Paducah site. Same format, we just kind of embellished, not embellished. We made up a lot of stuff, a lot of CGI. What they did is they focused more on just the Paducah site, so we were able to include more. And so this is the video. I think that's just like background music. I don't think there's audio like using over, but you can see what's going on words. So we'll do that and let you guys see this. Is anything more to promote the speakers, or is that okay?
It's just music.
Hello? I think so. Yeah, I did. I'm like, oh no, what's up? And then I realized it says confirm, and I'm like, oh, shoot. That's okay. No, you just, right. And when he asked me to do a couple sentences, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I hate it when he does that to me. I'm like, I don't know what to say. And then I'm like, I'm here, everything good or something. I don't even remember. Nothing really. And so I'm like, so if he says anything tomorrow, you can just decide what to say. If you need to tell him you got sick and had to go and I come in or whatever, that's fine. Okay. Okay, bye.
You want to switch the audio back for me? Bye.
Wait, leave that on.
I'll go get the warm water, but. Oh my goodness. Now I got to figure out which professor's in here all day. This is outstanding. I have questions. So anyway, a couple things I want to highlight before we hand it back over to April. That you see the use of drone footage has become a big deal, and we have licensed drone pilots on site that take the cleanup videos and things like that, as well as a lot of people shot quite a bit of that too.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of it came from Aiden, who was one of the summer interns last year. And you just see even though the audio wasn't great, because of the room was not working well, you can sense how it really communicates the success, having the video, and it's much better than a PowerPoint slide or something like that, or more traditional. So, not to say that I lead you into a PowerPoint slide, but the video works well for what it's, and it reaches a much larger audience.
Because the hardest part with even with the video, you talk about video versus PowerPoint. PowerPoint, where you have it up there, you can ask, April, what are they doing here? You know, where that video goes past, and it's like, okay, remember that one picture they showed? You know, and it makes it very difficult then to ask questions about what's going on. But at least for me, it makes me more excited to get up and see what's happening in Portsmouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are playing around with that tour being kind of the first in PPO, having a rolling video behind the tour guide as we're at a stop to see the action going, but have somebody there to speak to it. As a lot of moving parts into the work, but that's what we're trying to set up for there, so you can see the combination of the two. So, man, so you.
All right. So this month's presentation is going to be on the budget cycle and budget process. We'll go to the next slide. We talked about this just a little bit ago. The budget cycle works for the fiscal year, which is October 1 through September 30th, and we're currently in the fiscal year 24, so October 1 of 2023 through September 30th of 24. And the budget is created annually, takes about 10 months or more to complete it. Usually we have a budget by the end of September. If a budget hasn't been passed, then we will either go into a continuing resolution status or we'll go into a potential government shutdown. But we'll go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, the year ends, the fiscal year ends on September 30th. So if there's not been a bill passed to fund the government by October 1, then we go into continuing resolution or the government shuts down. And continuing resolution, what that means is that you're operating through the previous year budget and you get money in allotments. And it's not like, okay, it's just an even allotment every so many whatever. It's just you get what you get when you get it. So it makes it very difficult to, keep on schedule on some things and different stuff like that because, we have to really cut back on additional projects that we might want to do with knowing that the money may or may not be there. And then also, if we're behind schedule on some projects, we don't work overtime and things like that during continuing resolution because we're trying to kind of reserve the money that we have until a budget gets passed, and we know for sure we're going to get the money. But right now, it's kind of by the drink on the money. Right now, we have been in continuing resolution since the end of September, the beginning of March. Our continuing resolution we're under currently ends March 1st. So either by March 1st, a budget will get passed, or we'll go back into continuing resolution, or depending on the severity, they can choose to do government shutdown again. So when the time frames hit, it's either continuing resolution or shutdown if the budget isn't passed yet. So that either you have a budget or you got continuing resolution or shutdown. So, the next slide is a timeline of the budget process. And every year we're working three budgets at a time. And so if we just look at this, of where we are today, what we're doing. So execution of the budget. So this would be the approved budget. So this would have been, if we had gotten one at the end of September, we would be under the fiscal year 24 budget, but we're still waiting for the bill to pass to get that budget. But for the sake of this, we'll just say we're in 24 budget here. From a planning standpoint, we are in the process of planning 26 budget. You can see spring guidance. This is the final guidance. We just received last Friday the draft guidance for the 26 budget. So we can go ahead and start preparing the 26 budget based on that draft. And then once we get the final, we'll see any deltas, see what changed. If nothing changed, we'll submit what we prepared. If there were any changes, then we will go back and look at what that impact may be to us based on that. And then typically around February, March timeframe, a budget's passed. So normally the president's budget comes out February timeframe. So this would have been fiscal year 25 budget coming out in February. So that kind of gives you an idea about how far behind we are from a budget cycle right now as of today, being in CR with the budget not passed in October timeframe. So, we're waiting on the 24 to pass when the 25 should be coming up to be released as well. So, will the 25 be delayed potentially? We'll just have to see what happens. But so we always have three budgets kind of going on at the same time. And like for me, I'm like, okay, what fiscal year are we talking about first? So we can kind of get my mind wrapped around where we are in the process, because they'll just start talking about guidance or draft budget, whatever, and it's like, okay, well, we got to figure out where we are on the chart. But so then it just rotates around. So like this would be fiscal year 25 for the next year. 26 would be getting awarded the next February, and then you'll be planning 27. So it's a 3 years every year you click one off, you click another one on. So, um, like where we are today, like I said, execution of the budget. We should be executing the 24 budget. We're in continuing resolution. We are currently planning the 26 budget, and actually the 25 budget should be coming out, but we hopefully will get the 24 budget. And then if you go to the next slide, it just kind of summarizes exactly that. We've had 2 CRs already. We had the one in October, we had the one in January, and then we're in the one we're at till March 1st. And then, as I said, the 25 budget request is typically early February. You know, we still haven't even gotten the 24 budget passed yet. So, and then we're in development of the 26 budget planning process. So, we'll go to the next slide and just kind of, you know, try to make this as simple as possible. But we use our life cycle baseline, and that essentially is if you had sticky notes and you sequenced everything that needs to be done to essentially make it just a graph field out there. That's what that is, a sequencing process to complete all the work needed. And then we use integrated priority list. And here in the next few slides, we'll take a look at what exactly the site's integrated priority list looks like. But essentially, it's you know, a prioritized to-do list. So, you know, around March timeframe, we take those 2 inputs and make up the budget request for the upcoming. And that's kind of what this slide is kind of laying out in words. But then OMB, Office of Management Budget, they develop the formal president's budget request, and then that's submitted to Congress in February. And then the process just kind of repeats every year, which is why it showed the circle. So integrated priority list, again, like I said, is kind of the to-do list. We use the life cycle baseline as a starting point because we know certain things have to happen before other things can happen. So we use that. We look at the risk. We look at you know, how much money we're going to get, what we can do for that, and make the most of it. And then the next slide will go into the site-specific priorities. So obviously our number 1 priority is any imminent threats or anything, you know, majorly impacting the site. And then our next priority is kind of base operations, and this is kind of to, you know, avoid layoffs, to keep the lights on, to, you know, kind of, I know sometimes people call it hotel load or whatever, but it's pretty much the things that still have to go on regardless. So you can see that list there. And then the next priority is our federal facility agreement enforceable milestones. And those are laid out in the site management plan. And back in November, we just submitted the fiscal year 24 site management plan. It's been approved and it's out there. So we use, there's a table, I believe it's table 4, but a table in the back that has the enforceable milestones, and those make priority 3. And then last priority is kind of other things and planning packages type stuff. So, you know, we do switchyard dismantlement in this bucket. We do R114 shipments, land transfer packages. This is kind of like the additional wish list work for the site that if we complete all the other 3 items, here's the list of things we would like to get done if there's money left after that.
Kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, right. So, no, that's short, sweet, simple, quick. I'm sure there's tons of questions. It's a very complicated process, but I tried to simplify it as best as I can. So, any questions from anybody?
I'd like to make a comment, and that is an example of one of the things that weren't able to do right now. We may or may not be able to do it, is taking down the electrical towers.
Mm-hmm.
We
Right.
have like 100 of those that, but with CR, you have to pull your horns in and not spend the money. So that's kind of on the back burner, depending on when and if the budget gets taken care of. So that's, just one thing that you can scale up or scale down quickly depending on the money.
Yep.
Is it possible that we do the CR until, like, maybe just not pass the budget?
It can happen. Yeah. We can go into the next fiscal year under CR, and the CR can continue to roll till the budget's finally passed. Or you keep going to CR shut down.
I don't know, I don't know, maybe it has happened, I just don't know.
I don't know if it has happened, but it can.
Yeah.
I mean, there is rumors that we will be CR the entire fiscal year 24 because I guess the House and the Senate not wanting to get along very well, so.
Yeah, I think it's kind of become more of the norm in election years.
Yeah, that too.
I know you had a question.
Yeah, well, it's on the same lines. I was curious about, but the election is probably the reason that it's dragging its feet. But I was curious of why, if they're this far into the year, if they didn't shift I know we're dealing with the government, but shift the energy to go ahead and get 2025.
Right.
I mean, you're 3/4 of the year gone. Let's go ahead and get the next one set, because obviously there's always hurdles. But it seems kind of defeatist because you're 3/4 in, and then you haven't got it passed. Coming the next year, now you're going to turn around and drag that year behind.
Right. So we're currently in fiscal year 24. We're operating under the budget that we had in 23. If one doesn't get passed for 24, going into 25, we'll still be operating under the 23 budget, like what was set then. So, we have a lot of different things that we want to do. And every year, we try to plan some of those. You saw that last group, we try to plan a couple of those and ask for extra money for those things. So with still being in 23, I mean, even just the escalation from 23 to 24, you're not getting that. And then if we were to stay in through 24 going into 25, you're 2 years of escalation you haven't gotten that you're still working to this.
So you're still working
23 budget. Right. Correct.
Of course, now had that been a bumper crop year, and then you had to work that, but obviously it doesn't work that.
Right. Yeah. So what we try to do, so with CR March 1st, we try to fund all the contractors through like March 22nd. We try to keep about 3 to 4 weeks, so that way, as long as something occurs in that time frame, we can have enough money to keep going. So that way, if no decision's made, not like just stop, go home. So we have a little bit of continuity of operations that we try to keep. So some we can fund like that. There's certain money buckets that, we ran out on, and then you're just waiting until you get your next allotment. And then once you get it, then you put it on and they can start back again. But for most of the major stuff, we try to keep enough to where we have about 3 to 4 weeks of continuity of ops.
And you're always doing like budget drills and things like that constantly?
Yes, scenarios. All kinds of scenarios. There'll be all these what ifs. What if you got less money? What if you got more money? What could you do if you got, so that goes back to kind of that integrated priority list and those bottom projects, and then also even, kind of having things out there that you can pull forward, like Buzz was mentioning with the towers, pretty quick turn on projects to where if we got money, we could do it. But it's, you know, scenario after scenario for the longest time about, you know, what if this, what if that, pretty much anything they can dream up and think of about what if we tried to do this? What if we tried to do that? So, yeah, they're usually pretty quick turns just because they're just kind of trying to think of ideas to try to do things more efficiently and better. But, so, yeah, we're still in CR and we did just get an allotment and we got got all that distributed out on contracts. So, like I said, we're trying to fund everybody through March, the end of March, so 3 to 4 weeks. So we have some continuity. So hopefully they'll pass a budget, and then maybe Rodney said they maybe just focus on 25, let 24 roll. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Okay, I probably already know the answer because I know we're dealing with federal government. But with the CR, does it include an inflation factor at all? I mean, so everything is going up. So we look like, okay, we've got at least the same amount of money, which in a way you really don't.
right.
How does that impact what you've done at the plant? How does that impact our various contractors who are tasked with completing certain tasks, tasked with payrolls?
Right. Yeah, so that's where we, like I said, we try to keep about that 3 to 4 weeks. You know, we go off of their forecasting, what they're going to spend. You know, we have to look at, like, we've already started really looking at this year. I mean, we're already to February, almost to March, and September's the end of this fiscal year. So we've already started looking at what work isn't going to get done because there was planned overtime for certain things, and pushing some stuff out. So, you know, there's some, you know, I would say there is overtime being approved, but it's at the program manager levels to work it. So we had an electrical failure that right before that cold snap hit, we worked over to get it fixed because there's going to be buildings without heat and power. So we did work some overtime. So it's very selective on what we're doing for overtime to try to cut the budget back down to keep within so we don't go over our target numbers for the fiscal year because we know they're based on those 23 numbers. And so we have to stay within that box. So there's some, like, I would say there's road repairs, maintenance, some maintenance things, different things like that, you know, we're pushing out some of that work or postponing it to see when and if a budget gets passed. So, you know, every month we talk about where we are against our numbers and how we're tracking. You know, for the most part, FRMP's been doing a really good job. They're usually really close to their number, and if anything, maybe a little under their number. So, and Swift as well. So most of them know, you know, that we have to stay within our numbers, and they do. And so we just, you know, like you said, so the workers, you know, they still got their raises, they still got their increases. You know, the CBA drives some of that where you can't just not give those things. So all that continues to happen, and then that's factored into the numbers and their budgets. And like I said, we just make sure that we stay within our number of whatever. I think it was like around 300 million for everything from the last 23 budget. So so we track really closely and make sure that our spend is on the dot. But like I said, they're experiencing increases, but then that just means either less is getting done or the schedule's getting pushed out.
With some of the things that you just said, let me ask another question that goes along with it. How does this, and it may not, affect morale among the workers to the plant? You said they got their raises and all that, so maybe everything seems fine, but at the same time, it doesn't sound fine.
Right, yeah, I think for the most part, from the workforce, they're not as close to the budget and numbers and things. Like you said, they're, getting their increases and getting their, pay like they should and, is scheduled. But as far as like some of the work, like the towers is a good example of, we had everything teed up, ready to go, and then it's just sitting and waiting. So that was more subcontract, like, hey, we're gonna get this work. So that's also community impact, on if they're local subs and things like that, waiting to see if they're gonna be able to get the work or not, because we're waiting for the money to see. But I think for the most part, the workers, they are not as close to the numbers and the budgets and stuff as the other. Billy Bob money. What do you think, Billy Bob?
Listen quietly.
It's okay.
If it doesn't affect the workforce doesn't know all this battle is going on.
Right. And that's on purpose for some, because you don't want to disrupt, get minds off task, comes a safety issue, they start focusing on other things and worrying about things, and it's like, so yeah, and yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, so.
Project management is not.
Yeah. There's a certain level.
Those guys can go. It's like a big chest bang.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's to a certain level, but I would say the actual workers, they come in, do their job, and, which is great, because we don't want them to have worries and mind on other things besides what they're doing.
What if a budget is passed and it's less than what the CR was covering?
That could happen too, and then in that case, and that's some of the scenarios we run, right, they ask. And so, Paducah, we've been getting pretty steady, and we were kind of right there on that steady. So, I think as long as we get what we've been getting, we'll be good. But, it just depends on how big of that cut is. There is a break point where you have to start, putting out notices of potential layoffs. But there's other actions before that occurs, like we look at subcontract workforce and try to reduce that, look at some other things before we have to go to those drastic measures. So.
Efficiency is like a big deal.
Yeah.
I have a question for April. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
And if you do have questions come up later, forward them to Buzz or April, to Buzz, and he can get them to April, and
yep.
Get those answers for you. So keep your fingers crossed that the budget is approved and at a higher level.
Higher is good.
Were there any, Eric, public comments that you were aware of?
No, sir.
Any of the public that might be watching tonight? If you have comments sent later, you may send them
You send them via email, and we will add them as an attachment to the meeting minutes as public comment. So.
Any other comments you might have tonight?
No, just comments from you guys at the board. Good to see you here tonight.
Good later.
Yeah.
Bacon saver.
Yeah. Anything from you guys that you wanted to discuss? We need to cover.
Tell Bill Murphy to come off the board.
Fewer questions? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Awesome. So just give you guys a quick heads up on bigger picture items going on with CAP. We're preparing for the spring chairs meeting in Portsmouth. The executive committee is working on finalizing, they get a chance to present a message from the board to, in this case, it looks like it's going to be EM2. Jeff Avery will be representing headquarters. And so it's our chance to kind of talk about what's important to us as a board, but really as a community, like what we want DOE headquarters to know. We try to center our comments on things that he can weigh in. We get a chance to talk to April all the time, but there are some projects that are, some wants that are farther up the tree. And so this is our chance to kind of go to the tip top and tell them what's important to us. And so they're working on that. We should have a copy of that available for you guys to see, and then we can talk about it next month. Probably have a copy out next week for you guys to take a peek at, and then as a board, make sure you're good with it, and we'll go from there. That's really kind of it. Next month, PFAS will be our discussion. We talked about it, I think, last May. We had, so our plan initially, if you guys remember from the fall when we talked about what we were going to do this spring, we were going to do tonight's budget presentation was supposed to happen last month. Tonight, we were supposed to have the budgeting folks in from DOE headquarters to come in and do a tabletop exercise with us, right? And it's really a fantastic thing. They were supposed to be here tonight. But obviously, we're in continuing resolution. Congress, right? So they're on a kind of a short lease, having to answer questions and provide feedback to all the subcommittees and all the working groups of Congress for the entire program. And they're like, we can't be in Paducah while this is going on. Like, it's just, and so we had to push January back to tonight. And then in March, we were supposed to do what's called the Federal Life Cycle Estimates. That's not exactly.
Federal Site Life Cycle Estimate?
Federal Site Life Cycle. It's kind of their new
FSLE.
FSLE. That makes it so much easier when it's in there. But it's kind of their budgeting and long-term planning tool, right? And it was supposed to be ready, but it looks like there's some holdup, especially with Congress and budgeting stuff. So it's not going to be ready. So we had to fill the gap there. So our 3 months that we were so proud of, that we're going to go bang, 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 budget and have you all up to speed on dollars and cents, fell apart and completely. And so we're kind of winging it. Good thing is PFAS is as you know, it's a growing issue. It's going to be an issue at the chairs meeting, and so we want to make sure our delegation is up to speed and knows what's going on here and what the latest and greatest is on that. So that'll be next month, and we'll kind of go from there. Cool. All right. Anything else from you guys? So can we make I'll cut you a deal. How's that? Does that sound good? So we did have Riley, Beth, and Rodney sneak in just a hair late tonight, or on time really, but prior to you guys getting here, we did a group photo. And Aiden said, no, they're here, we're taking this again. So if we drop gavel and say we're done, would you guys scurry down the hall for a group photo one more time? Would that be okay? Awesome. All right, anything else from you guys? And then you go home, you'll be done. Watch out for the snow.
No comments?
Excellent. All right, so if you guys will run down to our office real quick, use the